Reserve time.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the joinDOTA League Season 7, where we have a best of two-game series, if you prefer, against Gigabyte Mineski and Zero Latitude. Zero Latitude with their brand new lineup. So there is actually not much to know about these guys as a team. However, some of these names definitely familiar, so it should be a very, very interesting matchup, to say the least. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by GrandisV for this best of two. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing all right. And even if they didn't change their rosters, Zero Latitude Mineski don't have very many games on record, and the ones that I found were from like 2014. So really not much to really read into this matchup between these two teams, although I'm sure they've played each other, just not in any major tournament, at least that I've seen. So yeah, we don't really know what's going to go on between the chemistry of these two teams, so it's a very volatile match and should be fun.
Right, we've been seeing a little bit of Mineski in the past, and they're still looking strong as ever, especially with Royer standing in. That's certainly a decent stand-in if you're going to be playing in the C region. And Zero Latitude, as I said before, have a couple of notable names, or at least names that I've seen before. Maybe just because they were in the last incarnation of Zero Latitude, maybe because they're floating around. I don't know, the scene typically tends to float around quite a bit, but yeah, we have an Undying Bounty Hunter already banned out, so it is probable that both these teams are going to want to go on the slightly more aggressive game plan. Not like super aggressive, but wanting to take initiative in most of these fights.
Dire team ban.
Definitely. So, well, as far as the other heroes that are likely to be banned, Gyrocopter and Lesh, Mineski at this point probably just considering which one they want to give away, or maybe they want to give away both and secure one for themselves. Really up to them. I'd expect a Lesh ban here, though.
Yeah, it's just such a powerful hero, and it's such a risky hero to let through. Yeah, you might be able to deal with him. You get initiation on him, you get a little bit of burst, some stun, Nyx Assassin Mana Burn, or an Anti-Mage or something like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're still tossing a coin that is not necessarily 50-50. I don't know what kind of coin that would be, but it's not something that you would actually want to toss and actually want to put your hopes in, because that just doesn't sound like a safe idea. So if it's not going to be that, it's a Lina. Okay, Lina's actually, I think I'm gaining a little bit more respect for her. Still, I don't think as powerful as Leshrac, but definitely a lot more bursty.
And another benefit of this Lina bin is it secures the Gyrocopter for yourself, should you want to pick it up, and lets more heroes through the pool. And as far as heroes that are in consideration for that first ban, Lina is pretty high up there. It is going to be Leshrac first pick for Zero Latitude, no surprises there. And, well, let's see how they're going to respond. Mineski will pick up a Gyrocopter Tusk, so fair enough. Potent heroes in their own right, but are they stronger than Lesh? I'm not so sure. Lesh Shaker is terrifying.
Yeah, it's one of, if not the most scary mid-lane combinations, as you would expect the Shaker to, occasionally poke his head in that mid lane, throw a fissure into a split earth, and I don't care who Mineski have in that mid lane, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Best case scenario, they'll have some sort of blinker, Queen of Pain, most notably, still in the pool, who may be able to tank that initial brunt, and then will be able to blink out of there, but it's certainly a dangerous start for this mid lane for Mineski. They really have to be careful there, but, what they may lack in the mid lane, they will gain in other lanes. Gyrocopter is one of the most self-sufficient core position heroes in the game, and he just does the most damage with that early game Rocket Barrage and Tusk. Maybe if he plays as support, he can definitely help out in that regard. Otherwise, getting his levels, getting a quick level 6, and suddenly he's a really potent threat as well. So Mineski trying to perhaps balance the lack of mid lane with side lane power.
Yeah, when you are going against Leshrac, it's more or less just a lane that you're going to sack, or at the very least, expect to trade even at best. So the heroes that could do that in theory, Queen of Pain banned out, and Lina was banned out in the first stage by Mineski themselves. So it's going to be a really difficult matchup for them. So yeah, just buckle down in the other lanes and probably look for a Rubik pick.
And for bans right now for Zero Mineski, Zero Latitude have one support, one mid laner. Will occasionally be playing together. They might even, I mean, they do have the first pick, Mineski, but Zero Latitude can make really great use out of the Rubik themselves. Alternatively, going for a Clockwork, going for those offlane heroes in the Dark Seer, perhaps. Something like Mineski have to keep in mind. It's going to be a Dazzle ban instead, and I can't say I blame them. The problem with Leshrac is actually trying to burst him down, and if you can do it, great, you might actually take that fight. If not, well, if there's a Shallow Grave, good luck. You have to work that much harder, actually stick on him while Edict and Pulse Nova and Lightning Storm is flying.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. As far as Zero Latitude's next ban, I'll go back to the Rubik that I mentioned earlier. It's really nice to have just a point-click disable combo as well with the Gyrocopter. Really good to have against the Shaker too, and they're going to be more scared of the techies. So should Mineski want to pick that up, it is going to be available.
Oh, it's always a dangerous combination, but not going to be happening in this game. Phantom Lancer also going to get the boot, so Mineski should probably look towards some of their support heroes. As you said, Rubik is looking pretty good here, great up against Shaker and even Leshrac, and also great with the Gyrocopter. They still have some flexibility with this Tusk, can put him in either the support role or that little bit more offensive off-lane role, but I think Rubik is probably just the most reasonable pick here for safety reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. If not Rubik, it's going to be a Spirit Breaker, so an incredibly aggressive pick coming out from Mineski. It is something that they do like running, and it's probably going to bump the Tusk into more of a support role. There's always potential that it's just a dual lane with Tusk and Spirit Breaker, but a lot of early game brawling. It can apply pressure to Leshrac if you have somebody to capitalize on that charge stun.
Yeah, it is very, very dangerous for Leshrac to deal with. Not as much, though, once he has Shaker actually poking around in his lane, but I like how Mineski do have these aggressively slanted heroes try to deal with Leshrac. He is always going to be a significant nuking threat early on, but actually, if you actually get on top of him before he has, his Bloodstone or anything like that, then actually killing him off with initiation from the Spirit Breaker, perhaps a call down from the Gyrocopter, it's very possible for Mineski to handle the Leshrac in that way. And even if you're not dealing with Leshrac, just applying steady pressure with Spirit Breaker and Tusk is really hard for Zero Latitude to deal with unless the Shaker is there every single time, and that's probably not going to happen.
This game, more than most, it looks like Leshrac is going to be forced into a Yule's build against the Tusk and the Spirit Breaker both. Their initiations very easily stopped by either Yule's on yourself against Tusk Snowball or a Yule's on the Spirit Breaker as he's charging in. So as long as Leshrac changes his build, I don't think this is unanswerable by Zero Latitude, but it's not necessarily what you want to be doing. You'd much rather just work on getting that extra bit of mana sustain tankiness from the Bloodstone. Witch Doctor, now going to be pick up for Zero Latitude.
So they're getting kind of more answers to the Mineski squad. If you're going to snowball in, you really don't want to meet a Fissure and a Cask once you actually break that snowball. That hurts a little bit too much if you have, especially just one other person, hell, even two other people. Like, you're so clumped together, that Cask is pretty much just a three-man permastun. And it's not the best counter versus the Spirit Breaker. The Cask typically doesn't fly quite fast enough to actually cancel that charge. But still, for Zero Latitude, it's all about keeping this Leshrac alive. And with the Cask, with the healing, yeah, it seems like they're on this Leshrac plan, and Gigabyte, or Mineski rather, are on pretty much the entire opposite plan, the kill Leshrac plan, which is, again, going to revolve around this Leshrac so much. And this is why we see this hero being banned. He warps the game. Maybe not as much as, like Techies or something like that, but it's definitely there.
It's going to be a Storm Spirit for Mineski, although the laning matchup against the Leshrac is going to be awful. And with an Earthshaker backing him up, it's very easy for the Storm Spirit to die if he's not careful. If they get the Storm Spirit to a good spot, and that's probably going to rely on them going back into the jungle and stacking up for the Storm. But if he is able to get up his items at a reasonable timing, it's another hero that can get right on top of the Lesh and maybe even silence him before he's able to get off his entire kit.
Yeah, there's lots of upside here for the Storm Spirit, especially when combined with Spirit Breaker and Tusk. The downside, of course, is that, as you said, laning phase is a really big problem, and down the line, Mineski are going to be very low range in general. Not quite melee, but Gyrocopter Storm Spirit about have the same attack range, and Zero Latitude, now with especially the Wind Ranger pickup, really do have good heroes at punishing low range heroes, especially that Shaker. If you catch Gigabyte Mineski in a clump, which seems very probable in this game, then they're just going to get blown up by an Echo Slam Visor combination. Death Ward even is a significant threat, so Mineski really have to watch their positioning, really have to take bursty engagements, and, well, try not to clump up too much.
5 seconds.
And right now, their heroes aren't the greatest at bursting down targets. The Gyrocopter's Rocket Barrage is always a threat, so is his Call Down, but in general, their damage is more consistent throughout the fights, outside of just that initial burst from the Tusk, so they really would like to have something like Alina to partner up with the Tusk as another support, but I don't think there's a hero that's left inside the pool that really fills that void as nicely. Lion, although an option, feels really clunky.
Yeah, you really don't want to have a Lion if you can help it here, but we'll see. I mean, they do have still a lot of options as far as supports are concerned. You're always going to have some sort of support available to you that will fill the role. You might have to scrape the bottom of the barrel, but hey, so be it. It's a clockwork to be banned out, and it seems like Zero Latitude is going to put this Wind Ranger, well, we haven't really talked about it, with Leshrac most likely going towards mid. Wind Ranger offlane, not really fantastic, although with the Wind Run may be able to keep out a distance of the Snowball depending on where it starts. Is there actually any possibility of this hero, Wind Ranger, going towards that offlane?
I don't really think so. It's much easier to throw her in the mid and safe lane farm the Leshrac, or even safe lane farm the Windrunner, although I'm not really partial to that way of playing the hero. It still is much better just to secure the farm. Once you have Aghanim's Scepter as well as a damage item on top of that, or just Aghanim's Blink, you contribute so much inside the fights, and it's a little too risky, at least in my eyes, especially with how much focus the Earthshaker is going to have to put on Leshrak's lane.
Yeah, so and there's a little bit of flexibility perhaps for Zero Latitude, and but by putting the Wind Ranger in the mid lane, you do sacrifice a little bit of that dominance versus the Storm Spirit. Still, the Wind Ranger versus Storm Spirit matchup is pretty good for the Wind Ranger. I mean, she does have probably like 60-40-ish versus the Storm, but it's not quite as good versus Leshrak. So really, they have to look to balance out their power there. And still, the Darkseer is something that they could just grab to the offlane and then juggle their heroes around accordingly. Ooh, for Mineski, it's the last pick, Io. You very rarely see this hero in this 5th box. And it seems like it actually might get a little bit of traction. The early game of Mineski is very, very bursty, as I said before. If they're not able to get these kills, then their poking and prodding really not going to do that much. But down the line, once they grab level 6 on the Storm Spirit, once they have maxed out charge, and once Io has relocate, Zero Latitude really, really have to be careful about this. They have still okay IO counters, but nothing too fantastic.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Witch Doctor always good. Shackle, if you line it up, is very nice. This is not going to be your traditional IO partner, however. It's going to be a Gyrocopter more often than not. So it kind of feels like Mineski are playing almost exclusively the map control game. If they can get an early advantage and get the experience up on the Swarm of Spirit, IO Spirit Breaker, their global presence is absolutely insane. But now Zero Latitude pick up a Disruptor. They already had okay IO counters, but now they pretty much have like the entire suite. I don't think it really gets much better at countering out the IO hero.
Yeah, I think they pretty much have him on lockdown, but also, not only that, if you're trying to deal with the Spirit Breaker, if you're trying to deal with the Storm Spirit, who are trying to Ball Lightning or charge out or whatever, just glimpse him right back. That Thunder Strike's going to keep vision of the Spirit Breaker, so even Fog of War isn't going to help him there. So Disruptor great versus those two heroes as well. This is going to, of course, put the Earthshaker into a little bit more of a core role, or at least I would expect the Earthshaker to be put into a little bit more of a core role, which is not exactly my favorite thing in Dota. I feel like its weaknesses are very, very abundant, but the upside of having a Disruptor here is huge versus Mineski, and as you said, they're on the map control plan. It's going to be a little bit harder to actually get on that map control plan when your relocate only brings the IO in, because that's exactly not what the IO wants to do.
Definitely. So, well, we're going to start things off with a pause, which is pretty normal, but I suppose we can go ahead and introduce our teams. On the Dark side is going to be Mineski. They're going to have Jesse Vash on the Tusk, Rior on the Spirit Breaker, Jules on the Gyrocopter, Cuckoo on the Storm of Spirit, Trolley or Jay on the IO.
Okay, yeah. Raging Potato, probably not a regular name. Haven't heard of that one before. But on the Zero Latitude side, it's Hiva who's going to be playing the Leshrak. Avil is on the Shaker. Got Kylie on the Disruptor. Ben Klung is playing the support Witch Doctor. That leaves Vlaiku on the Wind Ranger. And, well, as you said, obviously it's going to start with the pause every single time. Whose draft do you think is better, man? Just looking at this, looking at these 5 picks, no team associated with it, who has it in your mind?
Zero Latitude. Pretty much hands down. I don't really think that Mineski are going to be able to get to that map control point where the threat of relocate ganks with the charge and Ball Lightning in is really that potent, because their lanes feel like they're going to be pretty weak. And even if they do get to that point, I think that Zero Latitude's lineup is good at reacting against that. I think the only downside for Zero Latitude is if this Windrunner doesn't get off to a good start and isn't actually able to become super relevant. It looks like the Raging Potato name is just the name of Jay's Smurf, as he has a level 0 Steam account, and Jay and Trolley are under his listed names.
What a troll. What a scrub also. Level 0 Steam account, gotta support Gaben. Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the same boat. If you just look at Zero Latitude's draft, it's one of those drafts where you could give these 5 heroes almost to any team and they'll be doing fine, whereas for Mineski, if you give it to any team, they may do extremely well if they just like to play aggressively. We've seen a lot of that in the past. Or if it's a little bit more of a cautious team, a little bit more of a slower team, then they will maybe just end up falling flat on their face and not able to secure the map control super early on. So it is definitely going to be the case where the team flavors the drafts a little bit more than the other way around. So it is up to Mineski, of course, to execute. And that's always a little bit harder. If your game plan revolves on your team executing properly and is not exactly foolproof, then you are, of course, running into a little bit more inherent risk. But either way, it looks like it's going to be a 1-1 rune split. We do have the Shaker going up towards the top lane. 2 Clarities. The Ring of Regen looks like he just wants to grab potentially Soul Ring as fast as possible. But up against this tri-lane, though, Io, or is it even going to be a tri-lane? Io, Gyrocopter should be enough to keep this Earthshaker at arm's length.
Yeah, definitely so. And even if it's just the gyro inside the lane, he can function pretty comfortably by himself. And
begins.
after an early advantage is made for the gyro, maybe just leave him 1-1 and the IO can make stacks inside the woods for the Storm Spirit, which is probably going to be pretty important for Cuckoo. The laning stage, no matter what it is, looks like it is going to be the Windrunner after all, is going to be pretty difficult for him. Just the range advantage and damage advantage because of the starting items is going to be pretty annoying.
And this is a perhaps pretty awkward game for a Tusk. Down towards bottom, with the Spirit Breaker, Tusk can definitely get a lot done if you get right on top of someone, say the Witch Doctor, and you're able to maybe get a bash, maybe get a charge, then you can put a lot of damage into him. Over towards mid, Cuckoo can take some damage. Power Shot somehow missed. I'm not sure how you do that, but bottom lane looking really good for Jesse Vash, but who is he really going to help the Storm Spirit with the Snowball? I don't think that's going to happen, and top lane is way too far away from this bottom lane that he's unlikely to go for that one. He's going to throw some shards, which are not even going to do anything. So now we have a kind of awkward dual lane melee of Tusk and Spirit Breaker. Getting on top of Leshrac and killing him off, definitely a possibility. They probably need level 2 or 3 though.
And once they have level 2 and 3, Leshrac should also be sitting on a similar amount of experience. And once that happens, the ability for Leshrac to turn around a gank or attempting to get right on top of him is very easy if he has a paralyzing cask behind him. So it's going to be a very delicate game down towards bottom if Jesse Vash and Rio decide to go aggressive.
I like what they're doing, Zero Latitude, though, in the mid lane. They're going to put the Disruptor over towards mid, grab level 1 Thunderstrike, and just dump his mana pool into the Storm Spirit. The Storm is under a lot of pressure right now, being outlasted by the Wind Ranger, pretty much as you would expect, and shouldn't be in any trouble of dying just yet, but even with his bottle, look at how much his H pool is sitting at. Not exactly a comfortable situation for any hero to be in, let alone a Storm Spirit who inherently just doesn't have any way of getting out from, say, a glimpse from a random Disruptor or a random Shackle Shot landing from the Wind Ranger. So Cuckoo's definitely under a lot of heat right now, and it seems like their bottom lane is not really paying too much of a price. It seems like he was still getting a decent amount of last hits, especially with the wave pushing so far towards his tower.
And it looks like he'll be able to secure the 2-minute rune unpunished, although the Witch Doctor's around the corner. If BenKlung gets isolated here, there is a Spirit Breaker that could charge in. The Spirit Breaker is just going to interrupt the pull, and Benurin really does help Cuckoo quite a bit. If they control the rune, Storm Spirit's life gets so much harder.
Uh-oh, BenKlung, though, is caught by the Spirit Breaker. We need a lot of 17% here. He's going to get the kill. There's one. Shard's going to block, but also block the Spirit Breaker. Snowball's going to come in, stun him. They're looking for more bashes right now, but a cask should just get BenKlung out of here. I don't think they could even get close enough to get a bash after this cask is done bouncing.
They have another charge in 5 seconds, but by that time, he should be way too deep for them to consider it. So I'd expect Spirit Breaker and Tusk just to straight up back. Really awkward pause coming out from the Storm Spirit, but it looks like we're good to go. So yeah, I think Witch Doctor should be fine here.
And that was unfortunately the downside there of Ice Shards. Sometimes you'll block off BenKlung, other times you slightly block off your buddy, and things just go a little bit wrong. Maybe the Ice Shards are actually going to catch the Witch Doctor. They could have gotten the kill, but instead, they're going to look towards the bottom lane. It's round 2. This time spotted, I think, by a range creep that was in the middle of the pool. Hiva is going to hit with the charge. They need, again, a lot of 17%. There's one. They need like 2 or 3 more. Looking for the second, not quite fast enough. The Leshrac has boots, and the Spirit Breaker and the Tusk both do not. So Leshrac may get hit by the charge, may get hit by the Snowball, but as far as keeping up with him afterwards, not going to happen for just a little bit more gold.
And right now, they just don't have mana on the Spirit Breaker either. No way to sustain that mana to... yeah, without a charge, probably not going to happen. But yeah, they're going to look for the Storm Spirit. Cuckoo's going to be right-click down, and Power Shot will secure the kill as Windrunner draws it.
And this Disruptor has been, dare I say, so disrupting over in this mid lane. A lot more so than we usually see from this hero. Typically a very passive, very defensive hero. Over towards bottom lane again, though. They're onto Hiva, getting 1 charge, but this time there's a cast to back him up, plus a Split Earth. Royer dropping pretty low already. Level 2 Lightning Storm is available, and with the heal there from the Witch Doctor, Hiva's fighting perfectly healthily. And Jesse Vash and Royer are both going to die here, it seems. They desperately try to go for the Leshrac, but he's looking to be very healthy and getting out of here. Jay's coming in as the IO. Level 3 IO versus the level 4 Leshrac. No man on the Leshrac, but still, I don't know if I would take those odds as that IO player. Mineski getting a little bit too aggressive there, perhaps not expecting the Witch Doctor to be right around the corner. That cask was definitely backbreaking, and they're going to go again for this Leshrac, but this charge is not going to work.
Yeah. If they went this time, Leshrac didn't have a lot of mana, but he was well under his tower, and that's just too deep. They have vision of this rotation, so Leshrac knows that there's 3 heroes down here, but he's still going to walk up, maybe feeling a little too comfortable under his tower, going to be charged, and they should be able to get this kill with 1 bash. That's all they really needed, and Spirit Breaker will draw that kill. Looking towards mid lane again, Cuckoo's going to be glimpsed back, trying to trade blows, gets a lot of damage off onto Kylie, and Cuckoo at least gets 1 return kill, but he's going to die to the hasted Windrunner. I don't see him getting out of here alive. The Ios here has some spirits coming out, but Jay needs to be so careful. Power shot and a couple more right clicks, and he's going to fall as well, surviving on double digits HP. The Windrunner will secure herself a double kill.
And she's healthy enough not to get insta-gibbed by some random shards from the Tusk that's rotating in. Great series of plays there from the Wind Ranger. But again, you know, as nice as it is for Wind Ranger TV getting these kills, most of the credit, if not all the credit, has to be given to this Disruptor. Now giving his life so that the Wind Ranger can get ahead. This is the life of a support hero. And this is the life of a support hero who we usually don't see played in such an aggressive capacity. Wind Ranger now is level 6 compared to level 5 of Storm Spirit. The opening perhaps for getting more kills, more easy kills on Cuckoo is closing slowly but surely, but still Ivaiku is doing a great job at handling this mid lane with the help of course of the Disruptor. Up towards the top lane, it seems like the Gyrocopter is no surprises here, getting absolute free farm. The Earthshaker though doing pretty well in his experience pool though. It's level 5, it's going to take a full on rocket barrage from the Gyro. That shouldn't be enough to kill him off, although we can see how much damage it did just with one cast. And it seems like Avil is going to get dove right now. He'll be fine. He'll back off, and Jules is going to be taking some tower shots, but he's dominating this top lane pretty much as you would expect. But Zero Latitude, I think, are winning enough in the other lanes to make this kind of worth it.
Yeah, I think it's working out pretty fine for them. 5-2, the Leshrac is doing well as to be expected, but on mid lane, Storm Spirit going to die another time, and a glimpse back on Jesse Vash means that actually chasing for these kills, even though the Spirit damage does connect, is impossible. 6-2, it gets even better, and Leshrac kills off the Spirit Breaker with a little bit of help from the Witch Doctor. It's going pretty disastrously. Kills all around for Zero Latitude.
That explosive start that Mineski need in order to gain that initial map control looks like it's not exactly going to be there. They can still, you know, perhaps claw their way back into some map control. Getting these kills with the Spirit Breaker, with the Storm Spirit Ball Lightning, definitely very possible down the line. But it's being slowed down a lot more than they're actually comfortable with. They're going to throw more shards towards this Leshrac and charge him, in fact. With the IO also coming in, maybe being able to tether towards Hiva, they should be able to at least put a lot of damage into him. They get right past Ben Klung and they will burst them down. Here comes the cast, but now Ben Klung's awkwardly in between two heroes that he really doesn't want to be between. Shards are going to wall him off from his tree route, and let's see how many bashes they can get. That Maledict is going to land onto 2, not a high level, but the charge there, Ben Klung's going to get saved by a fissure. Actually, Royer's stuck, and they also take down Jay in the meantime. Now Royer has to back off, taking a lot of tower shots. Maledict is only level 1, so it's not going to hurt a ton, but Earthshaker coming in like a friggin' hero there, saving Ben Klung, and it is going to make it overall a 1-for-1 trade. Oh, they're not done yet. They're going to charge right back into the Shaker. Okay, maybe they should be done. Snowball's going to wind up. I don't know if the Shaker knows about this, but I don't know if it's going to get anything done either. Because Jesse Vash is now going to hit with the Pulse Nova. Lightning as well. Fissure will be held, and they'll get the kill even without it. 9-3 now for Zero Latitude. Charging in again? These guys really have to calm down here. These charges are, you know, just not worth it.
No, absolutely not. The initial trade is pretty good for the side of Mineski. IO for Leshrac, although going a little bit too deep and probably being able to get out after the Leshrac kill. But yeah, while this is happening, they have space for Jules. The Gyrocopter's been left mostly alone up in this top lane. He's free farm yet, as to be expected, against an Earthshaker, especially since the Shaker did come down in the nick of time to save out his allies. It's still okay for Mineski, I suppose, but yeah, a bit awkward.
It's not damning, but it's certainly not where they want to be. And now we have Ben Klung on the smoke rotation in, looking maybe towards the mid lane. I don't really know if he's going to find anyone here. In fact, the IO just might blow his cover, but Mineski getting a lot of farm in the Gyrocopter, though that is kind of nice. He's going to have to do some really heavy lifting once the team as a whole are ready to go. They're going to actually find Cuckoo at the 8-minute rune. Looks like Ben Klung is not going to actually want to be here. This is a bad place to be for a Witch Doctor. Level 1 heal, not going to keep him alive for super long, but here comes the charge and the Ball Lightning commitment from Cuckoo as they do look for this Witch Doctor kill. I don't think he has any way of getting out of this, although Shaker is going to once again throw a fissure, catch Royer in a corner, and again he can't get this kill. Thinking about the Nether Strike, he's not going to get it inside. Now here comes Hiva. He's going to get Nether Struck bashed up as well. Hiva is going to get bailed out by the Echo Slam, again by the Earthshaker, but he will drop in the end. They get a cast onto Royer. They should be able to bring down the Spirit Breaker, although he's going to charge up to the north. I don't know where he's going. There's no power shot. It's going to be channeled. Is it in range? It's slightly off the mark, and Spirit Breaker is going to get away. Oh man, that was a close power shot, but Leshrac is always walking around the corner into this Spirit Breaker, and say what you will about the amount of bashes he's getting one bash every single fight, so he's very consistent.
Absolutely, but it always seems that it's on the right target, and usually that right target's the Lesh. They're able to burst him down, and Leshrac is starting to slip a bit. He does have a lot of experience under his belt, is keeping up with the rest of the heroes inside this game, and is still out farming the Storm in particular since he had such a poor time. But Cuckoo now, as he goes back to his jungle stack, should be able to remedy that fact at least somewhat. Across the board, this game is looking fairly even. A slight advantage for Zero Latitude, but not significant, really.
And Zero Latitude, their late game isn't really, you know, the best. They have a Leshrac, they have a Wind Ranger, which certainly can get the job done, but you know, they have no anti-mage or anything super direct like that. Storm Spirit taking a lot of hits from these creeps. We'll clear it off in time, though, now at level 8. And he has recovered in the level department pretty well, but still versus the 401 Wind Ranger, hard to compare there, especially when Blacku's going to go for this mid-tier 1. She does have Disruptor again right behind her. Zero Latitude have essentially just made this a full-on dual lane, and it's been working out very well for them. Mineski, they need to make some more aggressive rotations, I think. Maybe even involve this Gyrocopter. He has his drums being built up as his first real item, or his first, you know, kind of big-ish item. And that is kind of a build that indicates that they want to use this Gyrocopter a little bit earlier.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Oop, charge up towards top. They're going for the Earthshaker. I don't think he'll be able to cancel, so he gets the Fissure off in time, just in range for the vision of the Spirit Breaker. Now looking for the turn. They're going to get the Shackled Latch onto Rior. Do they have the follow-up damage? He is pretty tanky, but I'm not sure if he's tanky enough. They'll bring in the Disruptor, and 4 heroes against Spirit Breaker. It's not a good trade for Rior. He'll try to run away, but the Glimpse is there to meet him, and he'll be right back into a power shot. Mega kill spree for the Windrunner.
Of course, slightly slick plays there. In the meantime, tower in the mid lane does get denied by just Vashel again. For Mineski to lose that Spirit Breaker, yeah, it hurts. It's their offlane hero. It's the hero that's supposed to be getting these kills and applying the most pressure, but you know, they get a tower deny off of it, so it's not all bad. Over towards top lane now, Ben Klung's going to get called down. Missile 1 definitely going to connect. Fissure needs to save him from the Rocket Barrage, and it will do so for the first barrage, but here comes the IO and the Storm Spirit. Ben Klung's going to get dropped immediately in a veil. Well, he's going to try to TP out. Looks like that will actually work out. He's not going to get dropped up on this top lane, but it is a kill for Mineski, and it's first relocate kill at that. And Storm Spirit is just a hero that desperately needs it at this point. He's going to get maybe even a second one. He's not going to get the kill, actually, because of the glimpse, but yeah, he will get the kill for the IO, and that's almost as good.
Yeah, at least he gets the kill and involvement. It's really important that Mineski get that trade. Once you have the call down into relocate, it does help a lot if you can isolate just 1 or 2 heroes alone. Things have slowed down a bit, but Mineski are getting back on their feet, mostly off of the back of this Gyrocopter. As far as the item progression is concerned for Zero Latitude, the Windrunner is just about 600 gold away from Aghanim Scepter, a little bit more, and the Leshrac hasn't really completed any major items yet. What do you think the Lesh is going to build?
And he's got this awkward bracer in his inventory. I don't think it's going to be drums. It should just be a soul booster from here on out, which is a casual bracer. They get the glimpse back onto Jay, straight tether out, and he's going to slide out of there before the field actually does come up, and the Split Earth a little bit too late there as well. But yeah, it should be Bloodstone here for Leshrac. It's not really the best situation to be in where you want to be building Bloodstone. You want to be a little bit ahead. You want to have some momentum so you can get those charges, but what's your alternative? Eul Scepter, as you said before, is a really good item for Leshrac in this particular game, but it seems like that's just not going to be the case. It is going to be Arcane Boots, which should be disassembled down the line, so yeah, it is going to be Bloodstone for Leshrac.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, 11-7 is our kill score, but it looks like Mineski want to get aggressive down this bottom lane. They'll rotate in Jewels. Storm Spirit can't really join this fight. He has a TP, so maybe he could. And he does have double damage room, but it depends on where it's taken. If Mineski go a little bit further, he'd really rely on an IO relocate to help him join this. Spirit Breaker's in mid lane. This could break out at any moment. Just depends on who pulls the trigger first. Right now, Hiva's going to start chunking away at this tier 1 tower. Pops the level and Edict. Excuse me, but he has his entire team behind him. This is very threatening for Mineski to go into. They'll look for the ice shards. Not going to wall off anybody in particular. So, yeah, things will continue as they were.
Yeah, fighting 3v5 here for Mineski, probably not what they want to be doing. Getting Royer a little bit of time towards his Hand of Midas over in the mid lane, having Storm Spirit clear a couple more jungle camps, and it is going to be well worth the wait. Yeah, losing a tier 1 tower kind of sucks, but they're making Zero Latitude work for it, especially with the cooldown, which is going to connect 2 times onto these heroes. If this fight actually does break out, this is going to be, I think, the most crucial fight in the game, because the Shaker can either get really close to his Blink Dagger off this fight or get a little bit further away. If he somehow grabs his Blink, then it's going to be so much more difficult for Mineski to actually push forward in the future and play aggressively, or at least as aggressively as they really want to. Slowly but surely, the tower is dropping, and it still seems that Mineski, well, Spirit Breaker is not in the area. He has a TP scroll. I don't know if Mineski are actually going to fight this. They have smoked up in the background looking for some shards. It's not going to quite connect. Ball lightning forward. Going to put the Storm Spirit in the cage. Now he was in a little bit of trouble. Echo Slam, though, going to bail him out. Cuckoo dropping low. Will die first. Relocate there from Jay. Not actually going to do that much. Here comes Royer into the Pulse Nova, however. He's going to try to go for Hiva. The heal from the Witch Doctor, though, going to keep him alive. Earn charge is going to be negated as they're going to try to go now for the IO. He's going to get glimpsed back like a couple of feet, and that's not going to do too much. He's, in fact, just going to tether on out of there. That's another Shackle to land, however, onto Jules. Follow-up, not really there. And it is going to be the Tusk actually to snipe a kill in the backline. Somehow Jesse Vash snuck there. Jules now and Jay charging forward, looking for something, anything. Call down missile number 1. Actually going to connect onto this Earthshaker. Shards will as well. And the IO is going to grab that kill. Still with the Spirits seeking out, looking for more. It's ultimately going to be a rather even trade. However, Leshrac dying again. That's his 4th death.
It always seems to be the Leshrac inside these exchanges. Mineski are applying so much pressure there. It ends up slightly favoring them, at least in my eyes, as far as how that trade goes, but maybe they're a little too anxious to take that fight. If instead, with all of that time they committed to the Storm Spirit and the Gyrocopter sitting behind that tower, and maybe just farmed up top, farmed inside their woods, the gold trade probably could have helped them a little bit more. Hasted Windrunner in mid, going to open up onto the Spirit Breaker, but Rear's not dropping that low, even with the Focus Fire. They'll look for the Shackle Lash, not going to happen. Storm Spirit zips in, gets the pullback onto the Windrunner, but with the Split Earth and the Power Shot connecting, he'll be going into his own demise. He just didn't have appropriate backup there and did not expect the Lash.
And you got to expect some support being there from Zero Latitude, especially with the Observer Ward that's pretty much looking straight at the tier 1 of the Radiant. I mean, they should have known that more heroes were coming in, but Mineski just caught unawares. And, you know, as bad as it is for Zero Latitude to have a Leshrac who's falling behind 1-4-6, the Storm Spirit's falling behind just a little bit more. He's 2-6-3, and he's a little bit further away from his Bloodstone than Leshrac is from his. But, yeah, it is still, for the most part, an even game. Bottom lane tower is deniable, so Zero Latitude didn't even get that tower out of their, like 3 or 4 minute commitment on that bottom lane, just pushing in wave after wave after wave. They do have a really big item pickup, though, in this Wind Ranger. She has her Aghanim Scepter, so that is probably enough damage next time for her to get that solo kill on that Spirit Breaker.
Yeah. As good as Aghanim Scepter is, it gets so much better once you have that next item, so I'm not sure how aggressive she'll really want to be with just the Ags, but top lane, they're going to look for the Storm Spirit. They get the Fissure to connect, Split Earth to follow, and Static Storm. They glimpse him out of the Static Storm. He's able to zip away. Is it enough time, and is it enough space? A big misplay coming up from Zero Latitude. I don't see any situation where that glimpse is necessary, but it is going to cost them the kill.
You know what? Kylie has been playing so well in this game. I think, you know, everyone gets one, is what I always say. That was his screw up for the game. That was a really blatant one at that. Just don't press the glimpse button and you get that kill because of the Static Storm. But it is going to be a Storm Spirit getting away, and of course that's nice for Storm Spirit, but it's not like he's getting a ton of farm, not like he's a really significant threat to the Zero Latitude side, so it could always be worse. Looks like we have a tower trade on our hands, mid tier 1, top tier 1, both going to drop, although Fortify is going to hold the mid lane for a little while longer. Ben Klung going to throw his cask, which will bounce around a little bit. Tower will still go down. Jules not going to get shackled. We do have a charge coming in straight from the south, or the right side rather. Avil is going to throw a fissure. They catch Jules actually in the field. Can they chain stun him enough? Death Ward and the Echo Slam actually going to miss. And we actually have Royer in the middle of everything because he just got his allies, well, they all abandoned him. The IO is going to come back, probably into a Split Earth and probably his doom, but Mineski take the tower trade and they get away with, oh, they're actually going to bring in Jules again. I don't know if that's a great decision. No response here from Zero Latitude side though, no fissure yet. Snowball moving forward, they're looking for Avil. Is actually going to crush the Disruptor in the meantime. They lash Jesse Bash to a tree. They'll bring down the Tusk, but Jules and Jay still have pretty much full HP. Now with the Rocket Barrage into the Wind Ranger, she's already used most of her Wind Run. She's going to get hit with a missile eventually as well, and this Gyrocopter moving so quick with the SNY, he'll run down the Wind Ranger, grabbing a wicked 6-streak. Royer, a little bit late to this party perhaps, but I think Zero Latitude were just surprised that the Gyrocopter came back there.
Yeah, and well, although it was a risky move, it pays off for Mineski in a big way since they didn't expect such a play coming out from them. Jules at this point is pretty much the king of the hill. If we take a look at his net worth, he is at the top of the chart and has so much movement speed and so much chasing power. And at this point, he doesn't really need any damage items. The Rocket Barrage is super important inside these fights. So yeah, I feel like Zero Latitude just kind of panicked a bit. Now they're gonna lose a little bit of their ancients here. His Gyrocopter mops up a double stack, not super huge, and I think he made the stack himself, but still some extra farm acceleration for him.
And the amount of pressure Zero Latitude were applying to Jules over the course of that fight was pretty much nil. You know, of course, they caught him in the field. They did their best to nuke him down, but that's where the IO, of course, is going to come into play. That's his pretty much only job, make sure the Gyrocopter survives. And with the Glimmer Cape now being up on this hero, it gets so much easier to actually do that. Save the Gyrocopter once, and once the Gyrocopter comes back in, I don't think it was hit with like any skills at all. As nice as it is for the Wind Ranger to focus down the Tusk, get rid of that Snowball problem, get rid of the Walrus Punch problem, this Jules problem is by far the greatest and should be pretty much the target of every Focus Fire, at least the first priority of Focus Fire for this Wind Ranger. If not, well, we see what happens. Jules just wrecks their faces. Now with a double life, potentially, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Zero Latitude to deal with this Gyro. They still have enough CC so that they can, in theory, kill this Gyrocopter, you know, several times in a row. Even if he had like 3 or 4 lives, yeah, they'll be able to chain stun him down pretty perfectly. But It's going to be a lot more difficult with the rest of Mineski running interference. Just the chaotic nature of the charge of the ball lightning, just trying to jumble up the zero latitude positioning.
2 points. If we take a look at the net worth distribution coming up from Mineski, the IO is actually the second highest net worth on the team. This is a combination of the IO being ridiculously rich and the Storm Spirit being very poor. As good as the Gyrocopter is doing in this game, the Storm Spirit just hasn't found very much space, and Cuckoo has died several times, so it's going to take him a couple of fights to really come back into this game. Still working towards that Soul Booster to get to the Bloodstone that Listrak has recently picked up, but as far as other big items are concerned, Blink is fresh on the Earthshaker.
Oh, that's a big one, and so far should be hidden to the Dire side, so they may just clump up a little bit too much. A Blink Echo Slam on top of Jules, though that may be nice, is not quite good enough to get this kill, even if he's sitting in a massive creep wave, because the IO is going to be there with the Glimmer and with the Relocate out, so Zero Latitude needs someone else to really start off that fight versus Jules, or, try to get on top of Jay instead. If you lock down the IO, then it's definitely an easier kill. Yep, it's going to be charge on the Wind Ranger, Nether Strike already used. And they do relocate in the Gyrocopter. He's going to not even throw the missile, actually. He's going to get hit with the mini shackle and still looking forward for this kill. There is a Disruptor right around the corner, looking to put up the field. Glimpse back, Jules going to keep the Wind Ranger slightly safer. And now Jules actually left behind by this IO, but it looks like he'll be just fine to walk out of here because of this slow from the call down. They did lose the Storm Spirit up towards top. I assume you were watching that one.
Blink Echo Slam into Static Storm, really easy combination coming up from Zero Latitude to get that Storm. And again, he's just getting caught out, although I don't think we can blame him for that one. I don't think that they had knowledge that the Earthshaker had Blink Dagger, or even if they saw him on the map, maybe just didn't know. Right now, the vision coming out from Mineski isn't very sufficient to keep the Storm Spirit, or anybody really, safe as they're farming inside their own woods. Right now, their wards are pretty good aggressive and good for pushing down bottom, but yeah, Storm is really suffering because of it.
These are the type of wards that you put up when your plan is to play that map control game, apply that pressure with the charges, with your Storm Spirit Ball Lightning. But when your Storm Spirit isn't comfortable enough to actually use that Ball Lightning to initiate and look for those pickoffs, then you really need different Observer wards than these. These are great if you're Mineski and you're ahead. Otherwise, you need to try to protect your lanes. But we can see them placing another offensive Observer ward. They want to keep up with this pressure, and it will be enough to take down Tier 2 tower, rather, without too much of a fuss. They also have a charge going up towards top lane. Benklong is going to not get bailed out by the Fissure, and here comes a Relocate. It's straight onto this Witch Doctor. Glimpse right out, though. It's not going to save the Witch Doctor's life, and now the Earthshaker's stuck in a corner. Nether Strike, anything? Nope, not going to happen. In the meantime, though, Tusk is going to drop on this bottom lane. Io's going to jump right back in, but he's going to be met up with Jules, still with the Aegis. Jules going to put up a hell of a fight, even shackled to a tree. Still has that double life, and Jay is going to slip out of there. So there goes the first life of the Gyrocopter. Jay will not have another tether. He does not have a Glimmer Cape either. I think Jules might just die a second time, and he will. So many stuns here, even not latching. He's going to try to run away, but right into Kylie, he's going to find himself. That is going to be a very crucial kill for Zero Latitude. First of all, on the Wind Ranger, she's going to grab that kill, and it's on the Gyrocopter at that.
Yeah, pretty much the ideal situation. The good news for Mineski is now that being involved in a couple of kills, Storm Spirit finds himself his Bloodstone completed. It's not a very fast Bloodstone by any means, but it's still a reasonable timing for him. So it comes at a trade. The fight up towards top goes very well for Mineski, but at the cost of coming back, they are going to lose quite a bit. Earthshaker's hunting. Hasted Io's right around the corner, but looks like Io's successfully danced with them. They're going to get a charge over onto Kylie. Snowball forward, going to stun both of them, blowing up the Disruptor almost immediately. They'll look for the Shackle, not going to latch. That's a double kill for your Io, who is still absolutely ridiculously rich. Long Ball Lightning end coming out from Cuckoo, but not able to get in range to that Windrunner. They're going to look for the Relocate, looking for the TP. Is there a way to cancel? They have the pull, so that's going to be the Windrunner left out to dry by her team. Charge, Snowball, and one orb, a triple kill for the Raging Potato.
Casual mech grab. Should be Guardian Greaves perhaps as the next item for this IO. I really love the play there from the IO. Not just, of course, getting the triple kill and surviving, that's all well and good, but playing aggressively as the IO. The maxed out Spirits actually did a hell of a lot of damage there to the Disruptor, who still isn't exactly a tanky hero. He's level 9, only with 800 something HP, and so the Spirits did do quite a good deal. But Jay was able to make that move, knowing, first of all, that a Snowball was right behind him should he need that additional help. Also, he has a Glimmer Cape, and, well, yeah, Disruptor will be able to maybe drop a sentry in time. The IO most of the time is going to get out of there, even if suddenly, two heroes come out of the woodwork for Zero Latitude, just because he is so tanky with now the mech, and also has that Glimmer Cape and Tether away if he needs it. So Jay, playing aggressively as the IO, really something that you don't expect as Zero Latitude, and is something that was not punished by them. So, great plays from this IO, and that's going to give, again, a little bit of extra space for the Storm Spirit to look towards his next item. Should be an Orchid next with the Double Sage's Mask. So yeah, Mineski getting a lot of extra time and space given those plays on the bottom lane. Gyrocopter now has his BKB up.
And also, they're getting really important items. The BKB that you mentioned on the Gyrocopter is already delivered, and you have a Black King bar finish for the Spirit Breaker too, since he has been running with this Hand of Midas for the majority of this game. So that's going to help quite a lot. Despite the kill score looking even and maybe slightly in the favor of Zero Latitude, they're just not comfortable enough to stay out on this map and farm enough to where they can really compete. So we almost have a 10k net worth advantage for the Mineski side and experience of about the same.
That's a lot of advantage here for Mineski, and Zero Latitude may even not realize that they're this far behind. You know, having the kill score, having the Wind Ranger with the BKB, the Aghanim Scepter as well, they may feel like they're in a great position right now, but if they try to make a play that's a little bit too aggressive, then Mineski have a very easy chance to punish and get away with another great team fight, or slightly one team fight. I'm pretty sure for Mineski that's going to be just as good, or at least good enough for them. Zero Latitude, though, they're on the defensive. Mineski are pushing out these waves pretty aggressively, and it should be them just stalling out for time and waiting for Oshan, waiting for, those couple of items. Not sure if it's going to have as much of an impact as a 10-second BKB charge pickup from Jules, but Tier 2 Tower pushing that for Mineski. They can probably wait for a Roshan because what rush are they in? Not much. They actually have a charge going towards Wind Ranger. That's all the way from top lane. That's not going to connect.
Yeah, they'll go ahead and cancel that one. The Storm Spirit was very cheekily farming inside the enemy woods, but it'll look for the Zip TP and will successfully get out of there. Jules is currently isolated. Shackle from the high ground is going to latch with the focus fire. Do they have the follow-up disable with the fissure? Now follow-up split earth. They should. He's going to pop his BKB, trying to get out to safety. Jules still very low, but now that he has his IO, should be fine. Leshrac was just a little bit far away from that, so they're not going to be able to get that kill, but what they do get is perhaps just as important, a 10-second BKB charge.
Shaker made a guess there to wall off the right side instead of the left, and if it would have went the other way with that fissure, it definitely would have been a kill on the Gyrocopter, but there's not really that much information there for the Shaker, so not much for him to work off of. I think he still made the right call. We have a Shards coming in, plus a jump Walrus Punch onto Kylie. Another strike is going to get cancelled. Now we have the Death Ward being channeled from the corner. The Echo Slam is there as well. They're going to drop Royer really low, but with Io there, Io, it's going to save the Spirit Breaker enough for him to reinitiate with the Nether Strike and the charge. That'll kill off the Leshrac. Jules, in the meantime, is going to get on top of the Witch Doctor, kill him off, but taking a lot of damage in the process. Power Shot, plus the Maledict should kill him off. A couple more right clicks. Relocate out! Are you serious? Jay's playing like a freaking maniac right now. Storm Spirit, in the meantime, with the Haste Rune, looking for more. They're going to get right on top of the Shaker. Blackwoo's going to get out of there, but his Shaker will not be as lucky. Jesse Bash draws a double, and Mineski don't lose a single hero. What plays from the IO? I mean, I said that his primary goal, his only goal, was to save Jules. He also ended up saving the Spirit Breaker there, and also Jules. Like, that's so hard to do as an IO.
6-2 and 6, he's playing very well, and it's reflected across the board in his KDA and his net worth and his contribution inside these fights. It's not even a direct comparison. There's not like a stat that keeps track of how many allies you've saved, but if there was, it would be ridiculously high. The amount of times he's bailed out his Gyrocopter and the rest of his allies really is pretty absurd. 20 to 18. Mineski are still maintaining a pretty significant advantage. It doesn't feel like this Windrunner is doing enough, or this Leshrac is really having the impact he'd like to.
And now for Zero Latitude, the game plan should still be kill this IO, but it's going to get so much more difficult as he does get these kills, or I mean, he gets the kills, gets the assists, crucially gets tankier with every passing moment, and the tankier the IO, the more difficult it is, of course, for you to execute that game plan. You will have to eventually just say, screw it, we're going to go for the Gyrocopter instead, but then relocate Glimmer Mech, maybe Guardian Greaves soon. IO's not going to be an easy hero to deal with. They do get the jump, however, onto Royer with the Lightning and the Split Earth. He's going to pop the BKB and calmly walk out of there. Relocate, looks like that was with the intent of saving that Spirit Breaker. Looks like it won't be punished either, so not a big deal there, but that is worth noting that Mineski have used 2 BKB charges on the Gyrocopter and Spirit Breaker now, just to get out of ganks from Zero Latitude. So they are still being pressured quite substantially, especially this Cuckoo Storm Spirit. Suddenly million heroes, Yule Scepter is there, Split Earth. It's going to be coming with the fissure. Oh, nope, instant suicide, never mind.
Yeah, a little bit off the timing for the Split Earth. It's really hard to pull that off before he's able to zip out or before he's able to get the ball lining through. I guess it's pretty easy to catch him before he gets the zip. That is a fairly long animation, but at the very least, it's Bloodstone charges from the Storm Spirit, and all they really cost them was the showing of the Blink Dagger on the Lesh and Static Storm, which isn't that long of a cooldown. Blink Echo in mid, they're going to go for Jules. Where's the follow-up, though? Glimmercape is going to bail out the Gyrocopter a little bit, but not from the Shackle. They'll throw them all inside the Snowball, going straight for the Earthshaker. still the focus fire and the Witch Doctor Ward are going to town onto the gyro, but it's not near enough damage. They will lose their Tusk on the back lines. Eva is over next to the IO. They get a long glimpse back. Storm Spirit zips in so much damage through. They'll look for the Disruptor. They're under the tower. Can't quite get any of these kills for the Kinetic Field. Glimmer Cape onto the Storm, and it looks like, after all is said and done, it's just a Shaker for a Tusk. So many spells traded.
And this time it's the Tusk to give his life so that his cores may live. Great snowball there from this Tusk player, but I think it was even a better ball lightning from the Storm Spirit, making the jump in from, I don't know, probably the river area, somewhere around there. It was a big jump. It did so much damage to Zero Latitude, and if there was a little bit of follow-up there from Mineski, they probably could have gotten some kills. But now Hiva, looking to initiate onto Jules, will get pulled out of his combo. Now the combo's still going to land, but now Hiva's going to get charged in a lot of trouble right now. Will perhaps have to suicide himself. He'll go down, and now Royer with the BKB popped is going to look for a couple bashes. Will land one to Kylie, needs a couple more hits, or just another bash. That's good too. He'll grab that kill in a 2-for-0 trade so far. Royer is going to get hit with the cask, and Jules is going to get hit with a little bit of the stunning action as well. Charge through again onto Ben Klung. Royer getting some sick value out of these charges, but now getting hit with the fissure, instantly taken out of that fight by the IO, who will actually have Jules maybe to tether to. Disruptor's gonna buy back, looking to kill off this IO, but Jules and Jesse Vash right around the corner. It's a trap here for Mineski, and they're looking for the enemies as they come in towards that IO. He's instantly gonna glimmer out, tether out as well, and we have a glimpse back, which is gonna save the IO. What a good guy. Okay, that was his second one, Kylie. That's a little bit too much, but yeah, everyone else from Mineski gonna get out alive, I suppose.
Yeah, IO's conveniently back into the base. Unless that glimpse pulls him back to a compromising position, I don't think that really matters much of anything. And the end outcome probably would have been the same regardless, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. Into the Roshan pit, Mineski are going to go. They have more than enough damage to do this, although I'm not sure if they can do it fast enough. If Zero Latitude react now, they could contest, but they're not. And this is known by Mineski. They have the Temple Ward. Just spotted out the Leshen Disruptor up towards top. So they'll feel safe doing this. This should be a second life for your Storm Spirit.
Okay, with the amount of farm that Mineski have right now these Observer Wards that they placed earlier are the Observer Wards that they want. They can get so much action done now that Cuckoo has, you know, a little bit more mana regeneration. He's level 18 as well, so level 3 Ball Lightning, that much more efficient there. And Mineski will be able to just make these calls of go in, YOLO in, and we'll see what we can get afterwards. Always knowing that Jay is going to at least be behind them to bail them out in some situations if they get into those bad spots. Now Aegis onto Cuckoo, Butterfly on the Gyrocopter. They're looking for the Wind Ranger perhaps, but instead though, they're actually trying to go for a Veil at the same time. They're going to pull back Blaiku into some missiles. BKB charge popped on the Wind Ranger, dropping kind of low on that item, but it looks like it will buy her a little bit of time this time. Mineski don't really invest that much and force out a BKB charge, and they can just rotate around, look for the towers, look for more snipes like that.
Looks like they want to go in, however, the charge is going through. They have a relocate to get the Gyrocopter into position, but they spot out that everybody's playing a little too defensive. They're going to find the Leshrac, however. Hiva was pushing out mid lane with the Nether Strike. Walrus Punch, the Lesh is going to die. I don't think he had any right to be there. Another charge forward. They're going to be able to catch out this Earthshaker. Glimpse back onto the Storm Spirit is more than anything going to keep him safe with the relocate into the backlines. It's going to be 3 heroes to die. TP attempt by Ben Klung will be cancelled by the Snowball. And that's going to be 4 kills unanswered, as Mineski are just running all over Zero Latitude and even going behind their tier 3s to look for an Ice Shard. It's not going to connect on the Windrunner, but this tier 3 tower almost assuredly is going to fall.
Zero Latitude getting a little bit careless in their positioning there. The Leshrac, as you said, had no right being there, and everyone else kind of thinking that they could save the Leshrac. Very quickly realized that they couldn't, but it was a little bit too late for them once they did realize it was too late. Rax is the very least going to be taken here. No heroes from Zero Latitude who are dead have buybacks. Leshrac is going to be up soon. Still had a couple of Bloodstone charges, but he's been killed off so many times right now that he's really not something that Mineski have to fear with the amount of control that they have. They do not have another strike yet, and Royer isn't even in this fight, but now he has a Lotus Orb on that hero. The Tusk has another 2900, looks like a BKB is going to be coming up mighty quick, and Gyrocopter now has a Demon Edge item in the works. This is a really bad spot for Zero Latitude to be, and the worst part of all is that the Aegis is still up on the Storm Spirit. He didn't even get close to death. In fact, no one from Mineski got close to death in the past couple minutes.
Yeah, this is very, very scary. Despite the kill score looking pretty close, 21 to 27, this advantage for Mineski is getting to the realm of being gross. 25,000 net worth in their favor, and similar in experience, maybe in a little bit more so. This is going to translate into a Demon Edge item for the Gyrocopter that will be completed soon. Eul Scepter is done on the Storm. You have a Lotus Orb on their Spirit Breaker, for Pete's sake. This is not an item that you see very often, but why not? If you have the gold just lying around for it, it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, maybe I like Assault Cuirass in general on this Spirit Breaker, but Lotus Orb in this game is actually pretty sick. Like, you could let's say, exchange skills with the Witch Doctor cask, and that could just wreck a team fight. Lightning Storm, you got the Glimpse. Not sure how useful that's going to be, but it will definitely be interesting. And of course, you have the Shackle Shot as well from the Wind Ranger. So there is, a lot of skills that this Lotus Orb will actually reflect. So for Royer, yeah, it seems like a pretty decent pickup in this particular game, especially since this Gyrocopter is so fat. If this Gyrocopter wasn't sitting at 21k net worth, then get Assault Cuirass. You need more damage for the team, whatever. But you could afford to get these, more utility items in the Spirit Breaker in this game. Hiva is almost gonna drop, but is gonna see everyone coming just in time.
Yeah, he does have a blink, so he's pretty mobile around the map. Lishrak, however, just isn't really getting much more than this. There's a blink dagger on that Io, my goodness. Compare Io's net worth to the Lesh, it's only a 2,000 gold difference. He's so farmed. I don't think I've seen an Io this stacked, especially relative to the enemy team.
Like, first of all, Io just has a lot of gold, but relative to the enemy team, that's really where it gets really weird. I've seen like a couple games, I think Io going mid, where he gets pretty out of control, but this is definitely not one of those games. He was not played in that capacity, so big ball ending in from Cuckoo. He really wants Hiva right now. That's a little bit too much, perhaps, although with a Shard Snipe might be enough. He's actually just going to go for it, knowing that his Aegis is going to time out soon. Lotus Orb not going to do anything, but he does end up losing that Aegis, and it would have been reclaimed soon into the Static Storm, but no, he gets Yule Sceptered by himself. He's going to buy him a little bit more time. Jesse Bash going to jump right in to do nothing, as Vykas is trying to kill off Cuckoo. Will fall short there, and it's Jules to swoop in and clean up everyone. Instant triple kill for him, and they're also going to pull the Wind Ranger out of her TP, balling back and forth from Cuckoo. Gonna grab a fourth one and get the relocate straight back up to the top lane. That's GG. Storm Spirit, man, he recovered and then some, and I think it was just because of these defensive plays from Mineski. It didn't look good for them for a great portion of this game, but they pulled it together.
As soon as they found some sort of momentum, they kept on rolling with it, and they got those aggressive wards up. They were able to go from objective to objective, and all things considered, it was a very clean game from Mineski. Over the past couple of weeks, they've had a couple of shaky performances, but this was definitely not one.
Yeah, man, it's 8-1-11 on the Gyrocopter. He really did make his farm work for every single gold piece, and it worked out really well for him in the end. The Io's defensive plays were immaculate. Royer, really lucky, maybe. He always got, I feel, charge into instant Greater Bash, which never happens when I play him, but, Royer clearly a better player than I am. He's been practicing with Spirit Breakers, so Mineski, yeah, getting a little bit of luck, but getting a lot of safety across the board, and even though the Storm Spirit was essentially sacked, he still had a pretty good time in the end. Guys, this is game one of the best of two between Mineski and Zero Latitude. I'm Mikelorus. I'm joined by GrandisV, and we'll both be right back for the second game. Don't go anywhere.